and welcome to our BNI Heartland Football Week 1 recap. I'm your host, Ray Hughes.
And I'm the co-host, Brandon Suba.
Let's get right into the action that happened here in Week 1.
So the first conference that we're going to focus on is the Building Relationships Conference. This was Platte Valley Professionals in Kearney, Nebraska versus Success Unlimited from Gillette, Wyoming. Now, Platte Valley came in strong, bringing a visitor, which did result in 3 points.
Success Unlimited did come back. They responded with a touchdown and a 2-point conversion by making sure they got that new member approved. So, congratulations on the new member, and that 8-point total is enough to win the game. Your final score, Success Unlimited 8, Platte Valley 3.
Up next is going to be the Givers Gain Conference. This was going to be against Seward County versus Multiply Your Profits. Now, Multiply Your Profits is in Omaha, Nebraska, and Seward is in Seward. It's in the name. See what they did there?
Oh, wow. That's pretty clever.
Right. So, Seward did have one visitor, and they also brought in 100% attendance. And that gave them a grand total of 10 points.
Multiply Your Profits, a very competitive chapter. They brought in 3 visitors for 9 points. Could not bring in that extra visitor or bring in that extra couple of points, so that's where they stood. Your final score in the match, a close one. Seward County 10, Multiply Your Profits 9.
Running on over to lifelong learning, we had Leaders of Integrity in Casper, Wyoming versus Tuesday Afternoon Club in Lincoln, Nebraska. Now, I want to warn you, there was a little bit of a wind delay going into this game, but after just 1 hour, we finally got the kickoff. Now, Leaders came in with 3 visitors, and that resulted in 9 points.
Tuesday Afternoon put forth a solid effort, but just didn't quite manage to get any points on the board in this one. So your final score, Leaders of Integrity 9, Tuesday Afternoon 0.
Now, as we hop on over to Traditions Plus Innovation, we had Top of the Hill in Rapid City versus County 4 Connectors in Rock Spring. And County 4 is one of our newer teams on the team.
And they're taking off pretty well.
Top of the Hill came in with 1 visitor, which gave them 3 points.
County 4 Connectors not sitting still, though. They made sure they brought in 4 visitors, scoring 12 points, winning the game. Final score, County 4 Connectors 12, Top of the Hill 3.
And for our last long jump into a conference, this is going to be Positive Attitude. We had Sarpy Synergy in Bellevue, Nebraska go up against the Kearney Lunch Corps. Oh, hey, Ray, this is our first core group that we're reporting on.
Hey, they bring in visitors, they mark attendance. Why not let them score the points? They might come home with a trophy.
Absolutely. So Sarpy had 1 visitor and 100% attendance. And let me warn you, if you're playing Sarpy Synergy, they're pretty darn good at their attendance. Yeah, so you better be prepared.
Bring your attendance game if you see them on your schedule. Kearney Lunch couldn't quite do that. The attendance wasn't there. They did have 1 visitor for 3 points, though. Not enough to win the game. Your final score, Sarpy Synergy 10, Kearney Lunch 3.
So that was focusing on some of the top games that we had in each conference. Of course, there were plenty more that you can go see how they did. Speaking of tops, let's take a look at the top scores of the week.
We had 2 teams with some pretty impressive scores. In second place for most points scored this week, we had from the Traditions Plus Innovations Conference, Best in Sioux Falls. They brought in 4 visitors. They had 100% attendance. And if you do the math in your head, I know that's not easy for you, Brandon,
no,
but if you do the math in your head, that's 19 points for Best in Sioux Falls. Not the best, though, for BNI Heartland football this week. That goes to one of our core groups. The Omaha Corps brought in 6 visitors with 100% attendance. That's 25 points. That's a new record, not just for their conference, but for BNI Heartland football overall. 25, the score to beat.
Look at that, setting records the first week.
Got to do it.
It would happen naturally, wouldn't it?
You have to set records
right.
first, Brandon. That's how it works.
So let's also talk about chapters that had perfect attendance. Speaking of those records. So once we collected all the data and put it together, as we reviewed, we found that we had 11 chapters across the BNI Heartland region with perfect attendance.
It's a great good solid start to scoring with your team to get that 100% attendance in there. It's a great foundation to build on, so whenever you bring that attendance game in, it's going to make you tough to beat next week. We did have a few chapters come in without a report, though. If you see that in your team standings and results, you see that NR there, make sure you check with your chapter leadership team. Make sure they know how to report those scores to us. Make sure somebody's getting it done next week. Still early in the season. Don't let an early fumble determine your season. Get those results in next week.
And if you're wondering where you would see this or where you could find other information on this exciting football conference that we have going, you can go to BNIHeartland.com, scroll on down, and you'll find the BNI Heartland football button. When you click on that, you're going to see things such as conference that you're playing, the rules that apply to the game, the standings, but most importantly, the link that allows you to send your information in so that your chapter gets all the credit it deserves.
So make sure you go back, check your schedules, see who you're playing next week. And we thank you for watching this week, and we'll see you next week for BNI Heartland Football Wrap-Up.